What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel and back to the Turbo 3.8 build. I'm really excited to be making this particular video because if things go well, we will have a finished short block at the end of the video. All the pistons and rods will be in, and the hardest part of this build will be done. I've done a few things off camera since the last video, one of which we ended up getting a IMS retrofit, the new IMS bearing from Flat 6 Motorsports. I also installed the timing chain guides here, and I went ahead and installed the ARP head studs on this side of the engine. And lastly, I went ahead and installed the front console. Now, onto the fun part. We're gonna go ahead and install the pistons and rods in this bank. I started this process by first cleaning everything with carburetor cleaner, and then I took and went ahead and put the piston in the piston ring compressor. The outside of the piston, the inside of the compressor, and the inside of the cylinder are all oiled down. You want to make sure you are paying attention to proper orientation of the piston. Carefully lower it down. They have fancy piston hammers. I don't have one of those, so as always I'm using the bottom of a hammer. Now I want to reach in from the bottom and grab that connecting rod and make sure that I don't score the crank as it comes down. Next, I'm going to go ahead and install the rod bearing cap. I will torque that to spec, and then I'll want to spin the engine to make sure that it doesn't all of a sudden feel a lot more difficult to spin, and then we'll move on to the next one. Moment of truth. Oh yeah. One down. I'm sweating a little bit. This whole project is a little nerve-wracking. Two more.
This episode is sponsored by Flat 6 Motorsports. Flat 6 Motorsports is your one-stop shop for aftermarket performance parts for your late model Porsche. For example, we can hop in here and look for 718 exhaust, and of course we're going to look for Soul because we love Soul so much on our 987. And speaking of the 987, if you go to the intake page on here and you look at the IPD plenum, what else do you find but the Boost Brothers Garage install video? Thanks a bunch to our sponsor, Flat 6. Make sure you go check out their website if you need any aftermarket parts for your Porsche.
With bank one's pistons and rods installed, and what I would say is the easiest part of the project we're doing today complete, I've got the engine flipped over and I've got a buddy coming to help me install the bank 2 case half. And then we get into the really fun part, and that's installing the pistons into bank 2. With Thomas's help, the case halves are together, which is big, but the biggest thing is yet to come. This is the real make or break moment for these builds, and that is installing the pistons on this bank. You actually insert the pistons with the rods already in place, and then you have this big long tool that you put the wrist pin on. You insert it, make sure it goes through the piston and the rod, and then you have to install the circlip from there. So this takes a lot of concentration and patience, from what I've been told. I obviously haven't done it yet. So you'll have to forgive me if I don't spend a lot of time talking to you guys. I'm gonna put it on time lapse. I'll weigh in when I can, but I really need to focus on doing this and doing it right, or else this thing is a time bomb the first time you start it. a number of specialty tools that you have to use during this process, one of which is this Delrin poker prodder tool thing. Sorry, I'm a little frustrated right now, but anyway, it's got a pointed tip. You put that in, and that's how you line up the piston with the rod. You get everything all straight, so that then you can use this tool to insert the wrist pin, and then this tool slides over it. You put the C-clip in there, and then bam, you push that through and it inserts the C-clip into the piston. So I bought this tool, and the first thing that had happened, and I thought I was all set here, was this section right here was the correct diameter for a factory wrist pin. Because I'm using JE pistons, the wrist pins that came with those have a smaller ID, so we had to machine this down. Sucks, whatever. Then I installed the piston into number 6, and I went to use this tool to line everything up. And the tool wouldn't go in. Like, it wouldn't go past the first cylinder, like not even into the first cylinder. This has a little bit of a raised edge, and it was hitting before it would go in. So I was like, well, that sucks. I guess I should have bought or borrowed real Porsche tools instead of this Chinese kit, and I just kept moving on. I was able to get the wrist pin in using this tool. Jake Raby, I see you shaking your head at me. You better stop it. Don't you worry, I'll be reaching out to have you help me figure this thing out. So anyway, I got the wrist pin in, and then I pulled out my borescope to check and make sure that the wrist pin was all the way in, and that way I could go ahead and install the circlip. Well, first off, this doesn't work anymore, so I gotta get a new one of those. Just another problem. This build is my kryptonite, I swear. But then something else happened, and I had a bit of an epiphany, and a very unfortunate one. I was just testing to make sure this tool was gonna work, and I was gonna order a new endoscope, borescope, whatever you wanna call it, and this tool wouldn't go into the first cylinder either. This fits fine. Take this little cap off the end, this fits fine, but this does not. So I looked into the hole where these tools go in. Let me show you what I found. I'm not sure how well you can see it, but basically, whoever installed the sleeves in this engine installed them clocked just a couple degrees off. And when they did that, they overlapped the hole for where you have to get the tools in to put this damn thing together. So, what does that mean for me? I don't know. Really have no clue. That area is below where the piston rings ride. Hoping that I can just get in there with a Dremel, with an extension, and grind that area down with a bunch of rags stuffed up the cylinder to make sure that no shavings get in the engine. I'm hoping that I don't have to take this thing back apart and ship this case half off to get re-sleeved. If that happens, I might set this thing on fire. This is not how this was supposed to go. We were trucking forward. We had help from professionals that knew what they were talking about. I got the video from Jake Raby and the knowledge group that gave me all the information I needed. I got the case halves together. I got 3 of the pistons and rods in. Smooth sailing, happy as can be. It's not cool. Why can't I just be like everyone else and build an out less? I'll let you guys know what I figure out. My frustration will subside. I will keep moving forward. But man, I'm pissed.